Come with me and we'll explore Riyadh a bit in my BMW 520i. Now it's an old car, it's a 1992, but there's something to be said for quality. We get company cars, 2020 Ford Edges, and I've left both out on the street while I go on vacation for 2 weeks. I come back, BMW, no sand inside. Ford Edge, full of sand. Can I get a show of hands? Who's surprised that an 18-year-old BMW is better made than a brand new Ford? Yeah, that's what I thought. I'll come back to the car in a little bit, but first, we just left my compound, which you can look at two different ways. You can consider it a jail because you're surrounded by walls and you have to go through guards to get in and out. Or you can consider it a resort because we have pools, we can do what we want. There are restaurants, you can wear a swimsuit, there are women in bikinis, so on and so forth. So it's not terrible, but it's still Saudi Arabia. Still have to deal with the heat and the sand. A lot of the guys here don't like driving, and I can't understand why. I absolutely love it. This is a great place to drive. I've been here for a tick, and a couple of years ago it was even better because there weren't speed cameras. They have a ton of speed cameras now, and they have intersection cameras, so you can't run the red lights and stop signs anymore. Back in the day, you could do what you wanted, and that was exactly how the Saudis drove. It was pretty much hands up, praise Allah, and pedal to the metal. It was great. I adored it. You'd just be driving straight down the road and somebody would come off the side right in front of you. Actually, just come from behind you, and you'd have to look in your mirror, and if you didn't get out of the way, they'd just rear end you. It was full-time experience. You had to be looking 360 all the time. Intersections, red lights, stop signs, they used to mean nothing. People would just blow through them. Like I said, arms up, praise Allah, and he's looking out for you. But those times have changed because of the cameras, so everyone stops now where they're present. They know where they are and where they're not, so you still have to watch out where the cameras aren't. But it's great. If there's space, they will fit into it. Like, if there's a traffic jam, there are always traffic jams in Riyadh, they will fill the complete road. Shoulder, sand, dirt. If there's somewhere a car can go, there will be a car there. But enough about the driving. It used to be great, now it's just okay. And we're heading for the King Abdullah Financial District, which is the greatest ghost city in the world. It started more than a decade ago, and it is used for nothing. It is a huge collection of skyscrapers, empty. So we're gonna go check that out. And in the meantime, I'll tell you the story about purchasing this BMW. As I mentioned, we get company cars, but we have to share them. And a lot of my coworkers cannot adapt to different situations. They want to drive like they're in the United States. So they stay between the lines and refuse to move and just let the Saudis come over and hit them. And then they whine and complain that, the Saudis don't know how to drive. But it is brave of my countrymen to show these Saudis that Americans are better drivers by constantly getting in wrecks. The point was that these guys get in wrecks and then the car has to go in and get repaired and we are without a car. So I got tired of that. So I purchased my own car. And purchasing a car in Saudi Arabia is a nightmare. It's bad enough in the United States and Europe, which I have also done. But here it is unbelievable because they do no maintenance to their cars at all. They just run them till they blow up, walk away, and go purchase a new one. Now, I have always driven a manual transmission, but you can forget about that in the kingdom. Every car here is an automatic. Not a chance of getting a manual transmission. So that was out. I looked at the online ads, found a couple, went and saw them, and was disgusted by all of them, filled with trash or just in obviously terrible condition with bumpers hanging off or blasting out blue smoke or one wheel being a wooden wagon wheel, stuff like that. So when a friend told me he had a Filipino friend that was selling his car, I just said, yeah, I'll take it sight unseen, which, of course, was a terrible idea. It was the worst car I could have picked, it turns out, which is this car. So let me fill you in on the work I had to do to it. Of course, the first thing you do to a new car, a new used car, is change the oil. And I like working on my own car, so I did it myself. Climb under, go to take out the drain plug, and it's held in with putty. The bolt itself was perfectly fine. It was the oil pan was stripped. Now, I have a German mentality. I like everything to be perfect, even on an old beat-up car. So I purchased a brand new oil pan. And that was just the start. As I got deeper and deeper into this car, I just got deeper and deeper into fixing it. I think it's about 90% new now. I could go through a list of everything, but I think it'll suffice to say that this car is pretty much brand new. If I told you that I didn't drive it for over 6 months after I purchased it and had a shop paint it, would that give you an idea of how much work I put into it? And now that it's perfect, I'll probably get in a wreck or it'll blow up. But until it does, I'm gonna really love this car. It's great to drive. If it was a manual transmission, if I could change it to a manual transmission, it would be near perfect. We can see some skyscrapers on the horizon, and that is our goal. That is the financial district. Let me fill you in with some facts about Riyadh itself as we get closer. It is a huge city of almost 8 million people. It's the capital of Saudi Arabia and is absolutely hideous. There is nothing here. You can drive for hours in any direction out of the city and come across nothing but sand. That's not so much a fact as a personal opinion, but it's also a fact. And now you should be wondering, why is there such a huge city in the middle of nowhere with no resources? And the answer is, there's water. There is a huge aquifer under the city. And if you look off to our right, you'll see a Hilton and a Move-In-Pick hotel being constructed. And welcome to the financial district. That tall one sticking out into the sky is the CMA Tower. 385 meters, 1,263 feet. Not one of the tallest buildings in the world, but then again, most skyscrapers aren't empty for years and years. Actually, all the buildings you see here have been empty for more than a decade. All these beautiful glass and steel buildings, completely empty. It's still a construction site. We're not going to be able to drive through it. We're just going to drive around it. I still remember when I first got here years and years ago, and the promises, oh, it's going to be like a foreign country. Women are going to work there. They're going to wear what they want. Everyone's going to have freedom. There's going to be alcohol. There's not a single person working there. Like all authoritarian governments, they love white elephants, they love top-down government and directions. Yeah, it doesn't work. And on the right side is another fun one, Winter Wonderland. The Winter Wonderland in Riyadh. It's an amusement park, which I've never been to because a bunch of polystyrene icicles don't interest me. But it might be fun. I mean, if you live in the desert and it's bloody hot all the time, why not? I think it's just ice themed. I don't think it's like Dubai where it's all enclosed and they're air conditioning the heck out of it to make fake ice. So I'm okay with it. Now obviously Riyadh is a car-centric city and Saudi is a car-centric country. They're trying to change that a bit. The financial district is supposed to have a tram to take everyone around it, but we know how that's going. And the city itself is also going mad with metro lines, one station of which we are going to see here in a minute. Keep in mind, everything you see here has been under construction for over a decade and is abandoned. Nobody works or lives here. Some of these are residential buildings, or going to be residential buildings. On the right is the metro station, supposed to open this year, but I have made bets with everyone I can that it is not going to open. Past performance is a great indicator of future performance, and judging by this financial district, I am going to make a fortune on my bets. I can read you off some statistics about the financial district of what it might become someday. 83 buildings, 61 of them being skyscrapers, 62,000 parking spaces, and 12,000 full-time residents. I am a betting man, but I'm in my 30s, so I wouldn't take a bet that it's going to open before I die. That's just too risky. So that is a half loop around the financial district. Now just sit back, relax as we continue this full loop around the financial district. And I'll pop back every once in a while to fill you in on the landmarks and to tell you about the metro system because it is quite interesting. Still the financial district, still abandoned, still empty, and still under construction. Let's just take a minute to reflect on what an impressive waste this is. Well now, wasn't that just fun? I hope everyone enjoyed themselves. Why don't we head towards the parts of the city that actually have people and are being used? Riyadh is extremely spread out and it takes forever to get anywhere. You may have noticed that we just did a huge loop. U-turns make up about 50% of the driving in Saudi Arabia. You gotta go way past where you want to go and then come back from the other way. There's another factor to the driving which you may have noticed, and that is the speed bumps. Since nobody followed the rules and speed limit signs had no meaning, especially before the speed cameras, speed bumps were the way to control traffic. They are bloody everywhere, and these little gremlins throw them up in the middle of the night, and since you can't see them, you just fly over these speed bumps. I came back from vacation once. Hold that thought. We are passing Majdoul Tower. Try my best. So it's a twisted skyscraper. Riyadh has some interesting architecture, but just the location and everything being covered in sand take away from it. You can't tell in the videos, but all these glass buildings are just covered in sand, so it makes them really ugly. Now back to my story. I came back from vacation once, driving to work at night, and BAM! Those little gremlins had put a speed bump where there wasn't one before. And it wasn't a little one, it was a big one. Got airborne off this guy, and I'll give it to Ford. The edge did not break an axle or anything. I just flew a bit, and it was great fun. Almost as much fun was being at work and everyone telling the stories about hitting that speed bump. That wasn't the only time. That was just the biggest, most fun one. Those little guys put speed bumps up everywhere. And detours. You'll just wake up one morning and the road will go somewhere else. They'll completely change the flow of traffic, and no signs, no warnings. The usual way you'll know about it is because there'll be a wrecked car there of someone that wasn't paying attention. On the left side is Kingdom Center Tower, or the bottle opener. Some people may question Saudi Arabia's decision to make their iconic building shaped like a bottle opener, but I'm not that type of person. It is possible to go up in the sky bridge for a fee, but since I don't enjoy seeing the sand and dirt from ground level, I'm not going to pay to go see more of it further away from a height. Now we're entering what I call downtown, mostly because there are a couple of skyscraper office buildings, that's it. Want to be on the other side, go to that building with the ball near the top, the globe, so of course we have to go a ways down, make a U-turn, and come back up. I'll talk about the metro, as promised, when we're on our way back up. The plans for the metro are impressive. It was started in 2013, supposed to finish in 2018, but we know how that goes. I'm gonna start sounding like a broken record here, but yeah, they didn't make the deadline. They are building it though, and they're running test trains. I can vouch for that. I've seen them. What they are building is impressive as well. 6 different lines all at the same time. So they're going to go from having no metro at all to 6 different lines. 84 stations, 176 kilometers of rail, or 109 miles if you prefer. Which is all well and good and sounds really impressive, but we run into problems. The stations are unusable. Sure, there are some good ones at landmarks. The airport has a station. There's one at some big female university. There's one at the financial district, which as we know is worthless now, but perhaps in the future it'll serve a purpose. But the lines run pretty much straight. They don't run into shopping districts. They don't run into high-rise, high-density residential districts. They just run in straight lines with the stations plopped down every so far apart. We have a station right behind our compound, but we're not going to be able to get to it. There are no sidewalks, no walkways. And we're the main thing at that stop, and there are only a couple hundred people that live on the compound. Within walking distance of our station is a bookstore, a Starbucks, and a couple low-rise residential buildings for the locals. That's it. So unless the engineers have a secret plan that I'm not aware of, which is entirely possible, our station will have about a dozen users willing to ride the sexually segregated cars, as well as be willing to walk on the very busy roads in the blazing sun. Actually, perhaps that's why they're delayed. Now they're thinking about how to get people to the stations. Whatever happens, how it ends up, I wish them luck. I love mass transit. I hope a lot of people ride it. I hope it gets the cars off the road so there's less traffic. I'm gonna park here and go up into the building with the globe on the top. That's the Al-Olaya Hotel. It has a nice restaurant in the globe. It's a cigar bar, a cafe as well. So I'm gonna get some lunch and just enjoy the rest of my day here in Riyadh. Thank you for joining me on the drive. I hope you enjoyed yourself, and I'll see you next time.